RTE Soccer Women's World Cup podcast, sponsored by Cadbury. For grassroots to national level, a supporter and a half of women's football in Ireland.
Turn the world round, shut the show down. I've been spinning, couldn't slow down. On the road now.
Okay, we're counting down to the Canada game in Perth's Rectangular Stadium. And before everybody laughs at Perth's Rectangular Stadium, it is in a country where probably half the stadiums are oval-shaped due to Aussie rules and cricket, so it's not the most ridiculous name for a stadium. Anyway, Anthony Pyne is there in a delightful prefab outside the Rectangular Stadium. And Anthony, can you confirm the stadium has four sides?
It has four sides and it's rectangular, formerly known as the Oval, Perth Oval, but yes, now Perth Rectangular Stadium. And it is a stadium and it is rectangular and it will host Ireland versus Canada tomorrow night.
Okay, so it's a perfectly sensible name for the stadium.
The name checks out, Mikey. Yeah.
We got no problems with the name. The weather is something to discuss before we get on to Louise Quinn's injury, which is obviously the most pressing element, but the joke's probably been made to you about 100 times at this stage, but the Irish have brought the weather to Western Australia with them. Well, it's supposed to have 300 days of sunshine a year, blah blah blah. Well, you've landed in with the rain, and they put covers on the pitch. Is that right, Anthony?
Yeah, they put covers on the pitch this evening. So Canada have declined the familiarization, the walk on the pitch basically, and they're not doing that. This is a protective measure. Like it's not absolutely booked and down right now, but I think when it does, it will be heavy. It tends to be sort of monsoon like, and it's just a protective measure. Like Ireland will walk the pitch. Vera Pauw was keen to do that. She told us that in her press conference about 1 hour ago. And aside from that, the big news is that she did admit that she is concerned about Louise Quinn. She picked up on a bang in her ankle last Thursday against Australia. She'd been ice in a protective boot for the last couple of days, but she did train last night, just not fully, quite light. And she is taking part in training again this evening. We actually just got sent a video from the training ground where she's going through the warm up and sort of shuffling and twisting and looks okay, but this will be a full contact session, and this will actually be effectively a fitness test, Mikey, for her, according to Vera Pauw. So
that's the sense you got from Vera Pauw, as if she can't. Yeah.
She basically can. That's what she said. She said, "Look, we're concerned, and I'm always honest." Is what she said. Which, to be fair, she is. With regards to things like this around injuries, she doesn't do a Tony Gustafsson and wheel out an injured player and play a game of bluff as he did with Sam Kerr. She's a doubt, but she is training tonight. Hopefully she comes through that okay. She'll make it. And what I would say is that she is the type of player that if she's 60%, she'll play. She will play through the pain bar and she'll probably be absolutely fine. She is an absolute warrior and she's critically important to that team. She's so there's been changes in that defence over the last year. Certain players have come in and out. Diane Caldwell, Becky Conley, Ethan Mannion. Savannah McCarthy to go back, but Louise Quinn is the constant. She's the mainstay. She's the organizer. She holds it together. She was brilliant last Thursday against Australia. Probably not spoken about enough actually, what she was, because she's so consistently good that we nearly take it for granted. So that would be, in my opinion, that would be a loss almost on a par with someone like, say, Denise O'Sullivan or even Kay McCabe.
I was going to say that I think for a lot of people who've been following the Irish team for a little bit longer than the last couple of years, Katie McCabe is undoubtedly the face of the Irish team. She's the star, Champions League Team of the Year, etc. But I would place Louise Quinn as the second most recognisable player on the team. A, she's very tall. B, she scores quite a lot of goals. But she's just been such a stalwart. I would say Denise O'Sullivan is obviously technically a better footballer, but in terms of the influence they have on the team, I'd have Louise Quinn right up there beside Katie McCabe.
I agree. I completely agree. As I said, it's what she does. The concern here is that we don't know what that Irish defence looks like without her. So I can't remember the last time she didn't play. Now they're brilliant, as we know. They're very good at defending and living without the ball. They play with 5 across the back. No reason to think that that's going to change tomorrow night. But we just don't know what that looks like without Louise Quinn. Now, Diane Caldwell is a very, very capable, experienced deputy good defender. You know, there's experienced good defenders there, but it's still a huge loss. And even, you know, look, when did Ireland start to make chances against Australia? When did they look like they might get a goal? When they put Louise Quinn up front. That's a tried and tested method where they throw her up front and play somebody off her. And, you know, obviously offset pieces and that. She's such a major weapon. So she's a loss in a few different areas of the pitch. It's not just a back. That's it. Make it. You know, as I said, she is training tonight. They are going to give her every chance. So, you know, fingers crossed, we'll hope. Apart from that, there's no other concern. But you know, this is obviously a big one.
Yeah, well, here's Tony O'Donoghue asking Louise Quinn asking Vera Pauw about Louise Quinn's injury, and then a couple of follow-up questions from John Fallon and Emma Duffy.
And Vera, it's becoming traditional now to ask you about injuries ahead of these big games. It was Denise O'Sullivan before the game against Australia. We're concerned about Louise Quinn and her fitness, so can you bring us up to date on how she is?
Yeah, we're also a bit concerned. We think that she can play, but we are always honest. So now also she's going to train and we see how far she gets.
Hi Vera, John Fallon here from the Irish Examiner.
Yeah, gentleman in the back row, yeah.
Just clarification on Louise's current situation. I think she only had a limited involvement in training last night. Is today's training session going to involve full contact for her? And is that basically going to act as a fitness test?
Yeah, and her reaction on that, yeah.
And are you planning, have you got a contingency in place if she's unavailable?
Yes, of course, plan B is ready, of course, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Hi Vera, Emma Duffy from the 42. Just to confirm, Louise Quinn is the only injury concern. You have a fully fit squad otherwise?
So far, yes, yeah.
So all will be revealed after training?
It's waiting for all of us. It's an injury that is not very straightforward, and it's just really relying on how she reacts on the current or the next training in an hour. And I'm not hiding anything. I'm always open about that because I don't think that you win or lose a game on hiding it.
Okay, so let's just assume Louise Quinn plays, Anthony, and if she doesn't play, it'll be a like-for-like replacement, possibly Diane Caldwell, given her experience and kind of similarity in terms of how she plays. Do you foresee any other changes? Like, obviously, there's been a bit of an Abby Larkin movement in the last couple of days at home, and I think in Australia too, judged by some of the press conferences. Do you foresee Vera Pauw shuffling her deck at all?
I think that's possible. I think Abby Larkin does have a chance to start tomorrow night, I have to say. I think she could come in for Marissa Shiva. She did really well, against Australia off the bench, 15-20 minutes. But obviously, it's a different kettle of fish to start a game. You're coming on when you're 1-0 down. In a lot of ways, the team has nothing to lose. Like, it does remove pressure, and it removes the defensive discipline that Shiva would have brought to the team. I know she coughed up possession at times, but she did work very hard. She fills gaps and she does a specific job for the team. So there would be question marks about with Vera Pauw. I think Abby Larkin is quite ready to come into a game like this from the start, where Ireland are going to have to live without the ball for a long time. She's great with the ball, we know that, but without the ball, does she fully trust her? I don't know. I have a feeling that she will go with her, I'd say. Apart from that, it's possible that we might see a change in the middle of the park. I think Lucy Quinn has a chance of coming in, maybe in place of Littlejohn. Littlejohn has an issue with her Achilles, a long-standing issue with her Achilles, so she just has to manage herself. Like, she manages her training load. She may not be able to go again, or even Nate Farley might come out again. You think about the fitness. She hasn't got a huge amount of football. Obviously, she's played for the last few months, but she had such an enormous layoff before returning to the game. She was out for 8 years. So I think we possibly could see a change there. And then bar that will be elsewhere, unless she takes Kate McCabe out of that left wing back position, which I don't think she will. I think what's more likely is that she will just encourage her, give her more license to get further up the pitch. But that depends how the game goes. To get pinned back, she can't just charge out. But she has spoken about her hope that Ireland can feed her higher up the pitch, because talking about Louise Quinn and what she offers from set pieces, like our other main creative outlet is through Kate McCabe. Like if she can swing balls into the box or even just get into position to have a shot. We didn't see that enough against Australia. She was just too deep. So I don't know. I can't really imagine that there will be. I don't think she'd be played higher up, as in, we've seen her play off the striker at times through the middle of the park. I think she will be on the left. But I think Ireland will actively try and get her into the opposition half far more than she did against Australia.
Yeah, it might be more less a change of formation and more kind of a change of emphasis, I suppose, on what individual players do, which is obviously something Vera Pauw, you'd imagine, has worked on. Bev Priestman, for her part, she's expecting more of the same that she saw against Australia. I liked her press conference. She was she seems very honest, very straightforward, and she wasn't falling into any kind of leading questions. She complimented Ireland on being a horrible team to play against and said, "We're a horrible team to play against. That's what we pride ourselves on." So this might not be one that every neutral around the world will want to tune into, Anthony, is kind of the impression we're getting.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's fair to say. Now, obviously, from an Irish point of view, it's going to be nervy, and everybody will be invested in it. It's an absolutely massive game. It's a massive game. Like if Ireland lose, they will be out. But if they actually got a win, and you're talking about what an opportunity they'd have then to make the knockout stages, which would be some achievement. You're playing the reigning Olympic champions, Canada. Okay, they were held by Nigeria, but they're still a quality outfit full of really top players. An Asian team, I would say, but those players have done it all. They've won everything. Well, not quite everything, but they've won a lot together. And they have Jessie Fleming back, which is a big boost for them. Bev Priestman did confirm that she's okay. She's going to start. She didn't start against Nigeria. Jessie Fleming, creative midfielder who plays at Chelsea, very good at stitching play together, seeing passes. She's there. Denise O'Sullivan really is, for anyone who hasn't seen her player, that type of player. The brains in the middle of the park. She was missed against Nigeria. She looks well. She will be back tomorrow night. So that's a big boost for them. And it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. But I think it's likely that it's not going to be a classic. But from Ireland's point of view, they obviously want to win the game, but don't lose it. Don't lose it. I think a 0-0 stalemate would. You'd take that right now, and that wouldn't be a bad bet.
Yeah. Yeah, they just don't score very many goals. They've scored three goals in 5 matches this year. So
Ireland or
that's Canada. 3 goals in
Canada,
5 matches. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not sure exactly how many goals Ireland scored. A bit more than that, but not too many. But we're neither side are prolific. They're reliant on a 40-year-old up front who is one of the greatest players to play the game, Christine Sinclair. And I guess they were a little bit blunted against Nigeria because Nigeria are very solid, disciplined and physical side as well. Seems to be the trend in Group B. But also they were missing Jessie Fleming, as you said, who's massively kind of influential for them. But she's going to be joined at Chelsea next year by Ashley Lawrence, who was in on the press conference as well. So they're a quality outfit. It's not a 2-woman team by any means.
No, absolutely not. She was on the end of a really bad tackle, Ashley Lawrence, in that first game against Nigeria. If you remember, it was red card. It was terrible. It was a late high tackle, but she's okay. And yeah, as you say, look, there's tons of experience here. Like it's just another major test, and it underlines how tough this group is because. Some people would say after the first 2 games, Australia, Ireland, Nigeria, Canada, the strongest team that they saw in the group was Nigeria. They were very impressive, and that's a reminder that they could crack this group open. So even if Ireland do pull off a result here in Perth tomorrow evening, then they got to go and do it again against Nigeria, and that certainly won't be easy. That's back in Brisbane, but look, that's something that we hope. We can be thinking about and worrying about after tomorrow. It's all about just getting the results and keeping them alive.
Yeah, well, there's 24 hours or almost 22 hours, because Australia don't play Nigeria in Brisbane until Thursday, 11 a.m. our time. So hopefully we have a very vested interest in that game, and it will be interesting to see how it goes. Just on Ashley Lawrence and that tackle, there was a discernible trend, shall we say, to the questioning in the Canadian press conference. If we just have a listen here now.
Hey Bev, hey Ash. Maybe I can get both your opinion on this. Ellie Storai from Valvo Media. Ireland, like Nigeria, are a very physical team. How would you try to counteract that physicality for the game?
Ashley, Shireen Ahmed, CBC News. There's a lot of questions about the physicality of Nigeria. You were the recipient of a lot of that physicality. How are you feeling now? Did you have an extra long ice bath after that particular match? And secondly, your braids are dope.
Hamilton, TSN. Ashley, a question for you. A strong emphasis right now on the physical game that Ireland plays. This match could see you go head-to-head with Katie McCabe. What kind of match do you anticipate from her?
Yeah, we definitely prepared for Ireland and especially that physicality. I think we're going into this game like any game. It's a World Cup, so everyone's going to be going in for every tackle, wanting it, fighting for every ball. And so, we've analyzed some key players like Katie McCabe, but we know we have to be ready for any battle out there, and we're going to match that physicality, but also show our composure and calmness on the ball, and hopefully get into the final third and create some chances and put the ball in the back of the net.
Coach Bev, how are you doing? Gavin Komsky from the Irish Times. There's been about 6 questions about physicality. Are Ireland the physical team, or is it normal? I think Katie McCabe made 1 foul in the match, or is this kind of like playing to the ref a bit, or what do you reckon? Are they actually a physical team, or is it just standard World Cup play?
Yeah, listen, I'd agree with you in some ways. I think Ireland, they're well organised. Tactically, they're well organised. But yeah, I think they do what Canada does and puts their body on the line for the country. And, credit to them for doing that. I think, Katie McCabe can be an aggressive player, but she's a very top player in a top league in England. So, yeah, I think they're organised, they're resilient, and I think all credit to them. It's got them to where they're at, and I think we respect that.
So, can you survive in the WSL if you're not an aggressive player?
No, I think Katie McCabe is a top player. We're not scouting her because she's aggressive. We're scouting her because she can put a world cross in. So I think we've got the respect for Ireland for that, and there's a reason that they've got the results they've got.
Thanks.
So that was Gavin Komsky of the Irish Times, who was as mad as hell, and he just wasn't going to take it anymore. I think he was he listened to quite a few leading questions from the Canadian outlets, Anthony, as had you, about the physicality of Ireland, and then one pointed question about just Katie McCabe, and almost asking Ashley Lawrence, was she scared that she was going up against Katie McCabe? And to be fair to Brett Priestman, as we heard there, she wasn't buying it. She wasn't kind of going down this line that Ireland or some kind of, like Chapper Harris led Leeds of the 1970s. She wasn't going for it. But the media seemed to it's kind of following on from the Australian reaction to the Ireland game, which was obviously fed into by the Colombia game and kind of the fallout from that. And now the Canadians have picked up the ball and are running with it, this idea that the Irish are an excessively physical team. It's become a narrative, isn't it?
Yeah, it has, yeah, and it is. It's a little lazy. I mean, the Australia game, Australia had 12 fouls in that match. Ireland had 9. There was 1 yellow card, which did go to Ireland, but it was for dissent. Denise O'Sullivan, and you know what? She
didn't say anything.
She threw her arms into the air. I think with McCabe, it's she plays on the edge. Like, she can sometimes she'll flick out sometimes, or she'll be a little bit petulant. But she doesn't. She very rarely goes right over the edge. I think I've mentioned before, like, I can't remember the last time she got sent off, but certainly for playing for Ireland. So she plays with controlled aggression, I think we can say. And as Gavin Komsky, I think, correctly challenged there have been a few questions of that. We're talking about physicality. Well, Canada are a physical team, and so are Australia for that matter. The top teams play like that, and I think Ireland are just good at matching it. They're able for it. They're not, they're well able for that side of the game. But maybe it's just that Ireland they don't have like the abundance of quality that Canada and Australia have. So maybe there's more of a focus on that side of their game, because they're not embellished with all these other really good silky footballers. You even look at someone like Sam Kerr, who is absolutely world class. But she's tough.
Yeah.
She plays with an edge, and physicality is a big part of the whole game. So, if there's anything wrong with it from Ireland's point of view, it's probably just sick of hearing about this all the time. This physicality, as if we're the only team at this tournament that like tackle.
Yeah.
Not the case.
Yeah, and I don't know. Maybe it's maybe to an extent there's an element of kind of reporters coming in who don't normally cover women's football, and maybe kind of looking for narratives or whatever. Or on the other hand, the Irish, the men's team get this as well. It's kind of a running joke when Stephen Kenny's side are playing against, any opposition. The opposing manager usually says something about Ireland's traditional physical British style of play or whatever. And, Stephen Kenny's moved away from that. And it's this trope. It's this kind of idea that Ireland play a traditional British up and at 'em kind of style of football. And maybe it's just transferred over to the women's game.
Yeah, well, I mean, Bev Reisman, the language today was passion and commitment and physicality and fight and all those words, which, it's compliments, and she didn't mean it as compliment, but they're the type of things that we've heard around the men's team for many, many years, and I think it's sort of a byword for limited, technically. But she did say they're horrible to play against, and that is a compliment. That's you really don't want any opposition manager to be throwing flowers at your feet after a game. You don't think that's never a good sign. Not to come off. And Pep Guardiola is great at doing that. He'll play, a Norwich who beat them 6-0 and then praise them for trying to play out from the back for 90 minutes. You know what I mean? Like it's okay for teams not to like it because for teams to think you're horrible to play against because clearly you're doing something right. And Ireland's team Ireland's sort of plan isn't sophisticated, but it is effective. That's why they're here, and that's why they ran Australia pretty close. I mean, I've said already I'd like to see them be a little more progressive and play a little higher up the pitch. But at the end of the day, they're going to be competitive in all three of these group games. They'll be very competitive tomorrow night. We hope they can nick something. I don't think there's going to be much in this. I don't think there's going to be many chances in it. And then it's just, as I said, I come back to Louise Quinn. Like without her, you're stripped of another potential way of making a goal because you're not really seeing where it's coming from an open play at the minute, unless Abby Larkin comes in and sets her to light and shows us why she's so talked about and builds her cameo against Australia. But I think I wouldn't be surprised if it's a scoreless draw.
Well, you got the prediction for the Australia game right. Unfortunately, you did say 1-0 to Australia. So running in the bookies now to lump on 0-0. Anthony knows.
I did. Sorry, just on that. Like the reason I said that was because I thought if Australia take the lead, which they were always more likely to do than us, we don't change. Ireland don't change. They don't suddenly start chasing games with 40 minutes to go. They just maintain their shape. And so Australia got their breakthrough goal, and you'd think usually the floodgates might open because they think, oh, now we can draw them out. And it didn't happen. So after they scored, there was 10 minutes of nothing happened, and it actually took the wind out of their sails. And when Ireland did start to go for the last 10 or 15 minutes, they could have nicked something. So again, like that's what I would say. That's why I just think, like, if even worst case scenario, they do give up a goal early tomorrow, they won't change. They'll just continue to sit in and wait for their moment. And their moment usually, the only time they will really go for it is usually in the last 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah, and if that is the case, the least they can expect, Anthony, or one thing in their corner will be a home crowd, basically. Perth, as our colleague Samantha Library quite well pointed out on in a piece on the RTE website today, it's a city full of Irish guards and Irish nurses, and that coupled with the decent travelling support means that the home of Perth Glory and the Western Force is probably going to be mostly Irish. So here's Kyra Caruso just talking about the influence that the fans have when they play at home in Tallaght, but also as they've experienced here in Australia.
Yeah, it's how I'd like to describe it is like it's undeniable. It is palpable. that feeling. I always say, but when we play home in Tala, that it's like playing with the 12th man on the pitch, because it just feels like the crowd is just so much. The way that the atmosphere is, it feels like we're a man up, and which is an incredible thing to have. And I'd say that seeing the amount of support and the amount of people, not just loved ones, but just anyone from around the world, anyone who wanted to come out to Australia and be a part of this experience with us and follow us around to these games, it's literally like that 12th man on the pitch. And the other day when we were playing in the stadium in Sydney, though it's not Tala, it definitely remembering all those people who have come out to see us, and not only just see us in person, but watching at their watch parties from any country around the world, and being a part of this process. It's a good reminder to remember it's still that 12th man on the pitch. It's still that extra player on your team that's helping you out there, and it's something that we try not to forget.
Yeah, so Perth is green, Anthony, and you've been down to the on Shabeen, have you? And have you had a pint, or have you sampled the atmosphere yet?
Oh no, we just took a walk downtown, and see what was happening, or plans were. I mean, it is Tuesday. It is midweek here, so even the bigger Australia cities can be quiet during the week. But definitely the sense in some of the Irish bars and that, they're very respected. Big crowds for the game. There's people trickling in to see. It's obviously a huge story here. It's as you said there, in the spirit of Copperface Jacks, a lot of guards and nurses, but also mining industry is used, construction. Like, a lot of Irish people here have made lives themselves here, and they're really excited to be able to reconnect with home by having this team here for this match. So, Ed Priestman touching it in a press conference today. There's gonna be this. I don't know percentage wise, but there's gonna be a lot more Irish ground than Canadians.
Are they expecting a sellout?
More even. I believe there's still tickets available. So I'm not sure if it will completely sell out, but this is going to be there'll be a lot more green than red, and that's a factor. That can be a factor, really, like, especially for a team that lives off their commitment and their sometimes just like can make things happen just by the force of will, winning tackle or header or getting to a ball that you've no right to get them. And if they can get themselves into a position where they have a chance either to protect them a lead, or chasing the winner or something, the crowd can help definitely, because it was amazing in Sydney. There was more Australian fans there than Irish, but there was a lot of Irish fans there, and they were loud. Like that moment where they came out, you could hear "Ole, ole, ole," and then they sang that. I mean, that was a hell of a moment, powerful moment, and it helped the players. They spoke about it afterwards. So that's something that potentially give the team a bit of an edge, and they will have that in their favour tomorrow. That there'll be, I think, Vera Pauw, the way she said it, was it's going to be like playing whole station, because they'll have such.
Yeah, she said it could be good preparation for their final group game against Australia. Okay, well, we are very much looking forward to it. Just on today's results, our old nemesis of 20 minutes, Colombia beating South Korea 2-0. New Zealand, after their amazing win in their first game, have lost 1-0 to the Philippines, and Switzerland and Norway played out a 0-0 draw. And so tomorrow, apart from Ireland, we have Japan, Costa Rica at 6 a.m, Spain, Zambia at 8:30. Poor Zambia, one of your dark horses. They really need a result against one of the favourites there, or it's curtains for them. So you'll be watching that one with interest, Anthony.
No, I'm not giving up on them yet. They did lose. They lost Grace Chandler. That was a blow, but I don't know. Never know. Great entertainers, they're waiting for the moment.
It could be one of the games of the tournament then, hopefully, because Spain obviously looked pretty good in their first game too.
They're excellent. Yeah, no, they are. Spain are excellent.
Yeah, if they go toe to toe, it could be fun. And then obviously the big one is at 1 o'clock tomorrow, Canada v Ireland. You can watch Spain, Zambia, and Canada Ireland on RTE2, and you have live commentary on 2FM of the Canada Ireland game as well. And Japan Costa Rica can be watched on the RTE player. We will be back tomorrow with another podcast, responding to Ireland's glorious 1-0 win over Canada. That's how I see it going. And you can follow the match on the RTE website and the RTE News app with our live blog reports from Anthony in Perth and reaction analysis and all that good stuff. So until tomorrow, we will say goodbye. Thank you very much, Anthony, and we'll talk to you
A supporter and a half likes, shares, comments, and tweets. Cadbury sponsors RTE Soccer Women's World Cup podcast.